Hold on to your toques, folks, because things just got interesting between the U.S. and Canada. Our neighbors to the north have made a bold move. They've slapped a hefty toll on the U.S. route to Alaska. That's right, the Canadians are playing hardball, and they're using the Alaska Highway as their bat. This isn't just some random act of Canadian aggression. It's a direct response to a series of trade disputes and tariffs imposed by former U.S. President Donald Trump. Remember him? The guy with the hair? Yeah, he's back in the news, folks. It seems like the Canadians have finally had enough of Trump's antics, and they're not afraid to stand up for themselves. This toll is a clear message to the U.S. Mess with the beaver, and you get the teeth. Now, some might say this toll is a bit extreme, but it's not just about the money, it's about sending a message. A message that trade relations are not to be taken lightly. This toll is a symbol of the complexities and the stakes involved in international trade. But to understand why Canada took this drastic step, we need to delve deeper into the historical context. The trade routes between these two nations have been the lifeblood of their economies for centuries. From the fur trade in the early days to the high-tech goods exchange today, the U.S. and Canada have always been economically intertwined. We need to look back at the long and complicated history of U.S. Canada trade relations. This history is filled with agreements, disagreements, and everything in between. Trade documents from the past show a pattern of cooperation and conflict, a dance of diplomacy and economic strategy. These two countries, despite being best friends forever on the surface, have a knack for getting into economic squabbles. It's like watching a soap opera where the main characters are always at odds but can't live without each other. Their leaders meet, shake hands, and smile for the cameras, but behind the scenes it's a different story. Think of it like a sibling rivalry. They argue, they fight, but at the end of the day they are family. This rivalry is not just about economics, it's about national pride and identity. Each country wants to prove that it can stand on its own, yet they are deeply connected. They share a continent, a love for hockey, though let's be honest, Canada's better, and a penchant for saying, eh. These cultural similarities make their economic disputes even more intriguing. It's like watching two best friends compete in a game they both love. But they also have a history of bickering over things like lumber, dairy, and who makes the better maple syrup. Spoiler alert, it's Canada. These disputes might seem trivial, but they have real economic impacts. Lumber and dairy are significant industries for both countries, and even a small disagreement can lead to big consequences. Over the years, there have been numerous trade disputes between the two countries. These disputes are often headline news, capturing the attention of both nations. Negotiations can be tense, with each side trying to protect its own interests while maintaining a good relationship with its neighbor. These disputes often involve tariffs, which are basically taxes on imported goods. Tariffs can make foreign products more expensive, encouraging consumers to buy domestic goods instead. But they can also lead to higher prices for consumers and strained relations between countries. Tariffs are a favorite tool for countries looking to protect their own industries. They can help local businesses compete against foreign companies, but they can also backfire. When one country imposes tariffs, the other country might retaliate with its own tariffs, leading to a trade war. But they can also lead to retaliation and trade wars. Trade wars can hurt both economies, leading to job losses and higher prices for consumers. It's a delicate balance, and finding a solution that works for both sides is never easy. The U.S. and Canada have managed to navigate these challenges for years, but the road ahead is always uncertain. Enter Donald Trump, stage right, with his signature hair, a figure who has always been larger than life. Known for his bold statements and even bolder actions, Trump has never shied away from controversy. With a penchant for starting trade wars, Trump made headlines once again. In 2023, he imposed tariffs on Canadian lumber and dairy products, a move that sent ripples through the international trade community. This move, predictably, did not sit well with the Canadians. Protests erupted across the country, and Canadian government officials expressed their deep concerns over the potential economic fallout. Trump argued that these tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs, particularly in the manufacturing sector. He claimed that unfair trade practices had long disadvantaged American workers, and it was time to level the playing field. But critics argued that they were more about appeasing his base and fulfilling campaign promises than about sound economic policy. Economic analysts warned that such tariffs could lead to a trade war, which would hurt both economies. Whatever the reason, Trump's tariffs had a significant impact on the Canadian economy. Businesses struggled to cope with the increased costs, and the overall economic growth slowed down. But Trump wasn't done there. His administration continued to push the boundaries of international trade norms. In early 2025, he threatened even more tariffs on Canadian goods. This time the stakes were even higher. This time he set his sights on automobiles, claiming they were a threat to national security. The idea that Canadian cars could pose such a threat seemed almost surreal. Yes, you heard that right. Canadian cars, a menace to America. The notion was met with both disbelief and humor on both sides of the border. These threats sent shockwaves through the Canadian government and business community. Meetings were held, strategies were discussed, and the tension between the two nations escalated. It was clear that Trump was serious about using tariffs as a weapon against Canada. His administration's aggressive stance left little room for negotiation, and the Canadians were not going to take it lying down. Protests continued, and Canadian officials began planning their response, determined to protect their nation's interests in this escalating trade war. In response to Trump's threats, British Columbia Premier David Eby took the gloves off. He was determined to protect his province's economic interests, and wasn't afraid to make bold moves. Eby, known for his assertive stance on trade issues, decided it was time to take a stand against the mounting pressure from the U.S. administration. He proposed a bold and controversial plan: a toll on commercial traffic using the Alaska Highway. This highway, a critical route for transporting goods between Alaska and the rest of the United States, would now become a focal point in the trade dispute. This highway, which runs through British Columbia, is a vital artery for goods flowing to and from Alaska. The scenic route, often surrounded by breathtaking landscapes, is more than just a road, it's a lifeline for commerce. The toll, which came into effect in March 2025, is a direct shot across the bow of American trade. It represents a significant shift in the dynamics of North American trade relations, signaling that Canada is ready to defend its economic sovereignty. It's a way for Canada to hit back at Trump's tariffs and protect its own economic interests. The tariffs imposed by the Trump administration had already strained the relationship between the two neighboring countries, and this toll was seen as a necessary countermeasure. But it's also a risky move that could escalate tensions between the two countries. The political landscape was already fraught with challenges, and this new development added another layer of complexity to the ongoing trade war. The toll is expected to have a significant impact on the Alaskan economy. Businesses that rely on the highway for the transportation of goods are now facing increased costs, which could have ripple effects throughout the region. Alaska relies heavily on the highway for the transportation of goods. From essential supplies to commercial products, the highway is a crucial link in the supply chain, and the added cost of the toll is likely to be passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices. This could lead to increased living costs for Alaskan residents, affecting everything from groceries to household goods. The economic implications of this toll are far-reaching, and only time will tell how it will reshape the trade landscape between Canada and the United States. Section 5. Trump and Eby: a war of words. The announcement of the toll was met with predictable outrage from Donald Trump. In a series of tweets, Trump slammed the toll as unfair, disruptive, and a very bad thing. He accused Canada of trying to rip off the United States and threatened retaliation. Eby, for his part, remained defiant. He defended the toll as a necessary measure to protect British Columbia's economy from Trump's bullying tactics. He argued that Canada had been left with no choice but to respond in kind. This war of words between Trump and Eby highlights the deep divisions that have emerged between the two countries. It also underscores the high stakes involved in this trade dispute. Section 6. Public outcry from coast to coast. The toll has also sparked strong reactions from the public on both sides of the border. In Canada, public opinion is divided. Some Canadians support the toll, seeing it as a justified response to Trump's aggression. Others worry about the potential impact on trade and the economy. In the United States, the reaction has been overwhelmingly negative. Many Americans see the toll as an unfriendly act by a close ally. They're concerned about the impact on travel costs and the availability of goods in Alaska. This public outcry is a reminder that trade disputes are not just about economics, they're also about national pride, sovereignty, and the complex relationship between two neighboring countries. Section 7. Alaska feels the pinch, the northern frontier. While the political back and forth rages on, the real impact of the toll is being felt in Alaska. This northernmost state relies heavily on the Alaska Highway for the transportation of goods, and the added cost of the toll is squeezing businesses and consumers alike. Truck drivers, already facing long hours and grueling conditions, are now being hit with hefty toll fees. These fees are eating into their profits and forcing some drivers to consider alternative routes. The situation is particularly dire for remote communities in Alaska that rely on trucking for essential supplies. The increased transportation costs are making it more expensive to ship food, fuel, and other necessities to these communities. Section 8. A chilly future U.S. Canada Relations on ice. The Alaska Highway toll is just the latest chapter in the ongoing saga of U.S. Canada trade relations. It's a stark reminder that even the closest of allies can find themselves at odds over economic issues. The long-term implications of this dispute remain to be seen. But one thing is clear, the road ahead is likely to be bumpy. The toll has the potential to further escalate tensions between the two countries and could lead to a full-blown trade war. This dispute also raises questions about the future of the U.S.-Canada relationship. For decades, the two countries have enjoyed a close and cooperative partnership, but the events of recent years have strained that relationship. Section 9. Conclusion. The road ahead. So, there you have it, folks. The Alaska Highway toll is a tangled web of trade disputes, political posturing, and economic uncertainty. It's a story about the complex relationship between two neighboring countries and the challenges of navigating a globalized economy. Whether this dispute marks a temporary bump in the road or a more fundamental shift in U.S.-Canada relations remains to be seen. One thing is for sure, this is a story that's far from over.